Hey, what's up guys, it's Theo from Final Concept. So today we are going to create this simple photography promotion in Adobe Photoshop. Now this is very good in case you want to advertise yourself and get more bookings. You always have to constantly be creating new ones or change them up a bit. Anyway, let's just get started. Welcome to Final Concept. Click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. So as stated previously, I'll be using Adobe Photoshop, which I have over here, and I'll just open it up. Now I'll go ahead and create a new document, and as much as possible, let me just set it to pixels. As much as possible, I'll have them at the same width and height in case someone wants to use it for their WhatsApp, DP, or put it on Instagram, on anything. Having it in the square is going to be a lot easier. So 2000 by 2000 pixels is okay, and I'll just click on create. Alright, so once we have this, go ahead and bring up your rulers using Ctrl R. Then I'll place it at the center like so. I should probably just do it every single time. This is what we create initially, and I'll just be using the rectangle tool. So just go to the shapes tool, right click and go to rectangle tool, and I'll create a rectangle like this, just making sure that it is in a portrait form. Now once I have this, I can just create duplicates of this. I'll be creating I think about 9 should be just fine. So I have one over here like so, I have another like so. Now you can see that I have specific sizes between them. Now I'll create another duplicate, Ctrl J, I should have stated before, and have it also here like so. Then I'll do it one more time, Ctrl J, and have this also here like so. So if we go ahead and play with all of them, you can see that if I go ahead and select all of them, actually select the last one, hold down the shift key, select the top one, I can place all of them here like so. It would have been, I think it would have been best if I made them squares instead of these long rectangles, but I think it's totally dependent on you. Whatever you want to go for, you can definitely do that. So you know what, I've just reduced the size to a little bit taller or shorter. Let me make it a little bit taller. I think something like this is okay. Now let's go ahead and group all of these, Ctrl G, and we'll give it a name later on. Probably, you know what, let's just call it images for now, and I'll create another rectangle. This rectangle is going to be on top like so, and I'll use the move tool to resize it, the move or resize tool to resize it to something like this. Now if you already have a logo, you can add in your logo, which I do. So I'll just grab it from here and just paste it in the work like so. So let's have it somewhere around here. Let's call it yeah, what other name can we give to it? It's actually a logo. So we can add in our text now. So I'll grab the type tool, the horizontal type tool, and I can type like something like bookings opened, in case it actually makes sense. Then I'll go for a font. There's this particular font I've been wanting to use for about a while now, but I don't remember the name, which is very unfortunate. So since I can't find it, I'll just go with Comic Sans. Let's just have it in here. Let me hide the logo for a second and put this somewhere here. I'm going to make the opened much bigger than the bookings. I think about this big. No, let's cut it out. We'll be pasting it in later on. So we have two different text in there so that I can have it close to each other. I think something like this is looking okay. Now the colors for the Theolabi is usually blue, so that is what I'm going to do. So for the rectangle, this rectangle over here, I'm actually going to change the color to the Theolabi color, which I don't have the color code. So you know what, let me just sample it from here. So I'll use the eyedropper tool, which is this one, and I'll just sample, and it changes the foreground color. So if I go back to my work and double click on the rectangle, which is a shape, I can always change the color. So I'll just pick that color from here and just click on OK. Now this is looking cool. Now let's bring the logo back up so I can have it. It doesn't make sense to put it on the side. This work is difficult. So I'll have the bookings down here so that this logo can come up here, something like this. I can also just delete it up and have it somewhere at the bottom over here. Yeah, I think that is what I'll go for, because I'm not so comfortable having it at the top. So I'll place this at the center like so. Then I'll go ahead and change this also. I feel like blue with a yellow contrast looks nice. Now for it to look nicer, this blue has to be a bit darker, like a lot darker actually. So something like this is okay. Now I did also notice that the fonts are a bit too close to each other. So if I zoom in, you can see that they are too close to each other. So I'll go to window, make sure that character is checked. It should pop up somewhere here. And with this VA over here, which allows me to control the spacing between each individual text, I'll probably set it to 0 so that they are going to be much opened up neatly for me. All right, so I'll highlight this as well and probably do the exact same thing, probably set it to 0 or -25. Yeah, I think 25 looks okay. So something like this is looking good. Let me go ahead and save this as Untitled 4. All right, so now that I have that, I can add in a name like the Olabi over here, so that without looking at the logo, you can probably have a fair idea of who the photographer is, even right from the top or the heading. So something like this is okay. You know what, I still feel the logo should be up here. So for that, let's just create an ellipse using the ellipse tool. Let's just create a weird shape. It doesn't really have to make any sense. Something like this. I'm not holding down the shift key so that it doesn't stay as a perfect circle. I'm just leaving it for a while, and I'll double click on that ellipse and change it to a white color, because why not? Now once I do that, I'll just place it somewhere around here, and I'll use the control key. Now holding down the control key with the move tool selected, I'll be able to deform it like so. So I think something like this is looking okay, and I can place it over here. Now that I have that, I think I can put the logo in there. So let me put the logo on top in the layers panel, and I'll put the logo in here like so. Then probably have it. I think this is much better. The logo should definitely come at the top. Alright, so after playing with this for a couple of seconds, I think this is what I'm going for. Everything in this black squares over here are going to be images, but I haven't brought them up, so that's why I'm not showing them right here. So let's see, bookings is up here. I think the library should be much closer. So if you have any specific things you want to add in here, you can add a heading like photo shoots. I have no idea what I just typed. So you can have like photo shoots, can have bridal makeup shoots, can have white weddings, engagements, anything you want to add in or convey as a message to your client, you can definitely add it in here. But I will change mine to probably photography and videography, because that's what I'm mostly concerned with. And I think the size is too big, probably 18 should be just fine, so that I have some spacing between the top and the bottom. So something like this is okay. Always going to be leaving my information also here, so probably your telephone number, like I don't know. On the actual image, I'll be using my actual phone number, but since this is going to YouTube, let's just stick with this. And you can add in your handle, which I would. That is going to be Theolabi, and I think this is looking cool. Now definitely don't use this huge font. So for the information at the bottom, I think 12 or probably 10 should be just fine. Should be something so minimal that you make your client look out for. It has to be there, but they don't see it initially until they look out for it. So most people will just have to zoom in and see like, oh, okay, this is his contact, so on and so forth, rather than having it too huge, which will be overwhelming them. Alright, so I'll group this up, and now let's move to the images and start adding in our images. So I have a bunch of images in my open window right beneath this screen. You can see, so I'll just start clicking and dragging a few of them in here. Now this is going to be the first one, which I'm going to have on the first rectangle, which is going to be here. So once I have it on top, I'll hold down the Alt key and place it somewhere at the center here. So between the rectangle and between the image, I'll hold down the Alt key and I'll hold down the Alt key, and you notice this cursor changes to this. Now this is for clipping onto the rectangle. Now once I have that, then I can go ahead and use my move tool to resize this image to fit in perfectly. Now I'll grab the second image like so. Now if you don't want to go through that, just make sure that the image is on top of the shape that you want to add the clipping mask. Just right click and go to create clipping mask, and it's just going to show on it like so. So make this smaller just to fit the screen. Then I'll move on to the next one, and so on and so forth. So basically that is the exact same thing I'm going to be doing from now onwards. So allow me to speed ramp from this area. Alright, so I'm done with the arrangement, and what I can do is, you noticed or may not have noticed that I try to keep the size of the faces at least a little bit proportional to each other. So if you look at the image I have here, you can see that the head is way smaller than what I have here. So what I'll do is I'll just try as much as possible to increase it so that at least they look quite similar, if not the same. Now once I have done that, I would have to do the exact same thing for this one too, and so on and so forth. So that is something I really want to point out. So if you look at this image here, you can see that the head is also way smaller. Now there's a reason why I use only images I have shot of ladies in here. It is a general belief that ladies like to take pictures more than guys, so they are the ones we are targeting the most instead of the guys. Alright, so I think we are about done. So yeah, I think we are about done. But like I always add in my images, I don't like having this white background. So if you have a couple of text, I think it will be much better to add in some form of background in there. In my case, I have this textured image. So what I'll do is Control A to highlight everything. Control X, I'll cut it out. Control W, I'll be able to close it here. And on top of the background, I can paste it in here like so. Now when I stretch it out, it becomes the new background for my image, rather than having that blank plain white. I wouldn't recommend you leave your images like that. So instead of also leaving it this way, I'll just reduce the opacity to about 10 or something like that. So if you go ahead, if I go ahead and toggle off and on, you can see that we had a little bit of texture in here. I may also make it 20. I think this is looking cool. Alright, so thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to watch more of our videos, click on the subscribe button, and as always, don't forget to share with your family and friends. This is Theo from Fino Concept, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.